Hey fellow tennis nerds, this video deals with Jannik Sinner's racket. Jannik Sinner is now a top 10 player, ranked 9 in the world. A very impressive guy from Italy, huge forehand and backhand power, goes like a ping pong game. It's left, right, left, right, left, right, winner, Jannik Sinner. That's how good he is. He lost to Alcaraz recently in Paris, but overall he has had a great year, 4 titles, and just bulldozed his way into the top 10. Will he be able to play in Turin in the ATP finals? At the moment of recording, I don't know. We will see what happens with the other players in the rankings, but his loss to Alcaraz will not help his chances, of course. But this video is not about his career, it's about his racket. The racket he seems to be playing with is a Head Graphene 360 Plus Speed MP. The racket he's actually using is not very far from that. You might have seen my last video with Emma Raducanu or many of my other videos with pro player specs. Sometimes it's quite far away, sometimes it's pretty close. Sometimes in terms of Alcaraz, he's actually playing with a retail model, so there are all different scenarios. But in Sinner's case, he's using an older version of the Graphene Speed MP, and he's using the Touch Speed MP. And that has a pro stock code of TGT 301.4. The mold is the 301 and the layup is .4. So what's inside the racket is .4. Sometimes they get a stiffer layup, sometimes they get a softer layup. They offer different options from Head. They can also offer different string patterns, but this one is a 16-19, and I think it's pretty much identical to what you could buy before the Graphene Touch Speed MP. A good racket. I reviewed it on Tennisnerd.net and I did enjoy that racket. Didn't get a lot of recognition. I think the later speeds have been a lot more popular from what I've seen, and I do like the current Speed MP quite a lot. So that's worth to check out if you're into this kind of going towards power but not all the way. It's a 23mm beam, which is not as stiff, for example, as a Pure Drive or a Head Extreme Instinct, Wilson Ultra, and so on. So Jannik uses that racket and he customizes it. He doesn't do it himself probably, but he has a customizer do it for him, perhaps Head, perhaps someone else. And he adds a bit of weight at somewhere around the 3 and 9 positions. Looks like it's slightly higher than that. And he gets the specs up to 325 grams, 33.3 centimeter balance, and a swing weight of 340, and this is strung. So if you saw my video about pro player tensions, you know that he strings his racket with Head Hawk Touch at 62 pounds or 28 kilos. That's the full bed of strings. And I did talk about Hawk in the video. It's actually Hawk Touch. If I'd read my own blog, I would have found that out, but I didn't. So I read what it said in the sheet. It's Head Hawk, but it's actually Head Hawk Touch. Head Hawk Touch is a bit softer, which makes a bit more sense, and I do prefer that string over original Head Hawk personally. But that's still a high tension. He uses the 1.30 gauge or the 16 gauge, and yeah, that's a pretty stiff string bed overall. But if you have the power that Jannik Sinner has, you can deal with it. So I think he needs the control for his really whippy, massive racket head speed swings. So that makes sense. It's not something I'd recommend to any players in my consultations to play with a 130 gauge poly at 62 pounds. I think that would be an arm wrecker for most players, and then you won't get anything for free pretty much from the string bed. But the pros, they play a different sport than we do. It's good to remember that. If you think about matching up your racket to a certain pro, I would generally advise against it. Find what works for you, unless you are a pro and then you want to try some other specs. You can do that, but most pro player frames I try are too demanding for most players, I would say. Definitely for me, but many players would struggle with them. They're made for that player. They're not made for anyone else, really. So find your own spec and try to stick to that, and I'm sure your tennis will improve. And if you need help, there are plenty of videos on this channel. Please subscribe, and on Tennisnerd.net, so you'll find some information on how to get there. If you have any ideas for content you want me to produce that might help you on your journey, please let me know in the comments below. If you have a desire to see the racket consultation service back in action, I'm trying to make a shorter version of that available, because I know there's some people that are desperate to get some help with the rackets. I get many questions on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and I can't really deal with them all. That's why I do a weekly Q&A. And on Instagram, sometimes you get these messages that are endless and they're very hard to digest. So please, you who have sent me these long messages on Instagram, please put them in the YouTube comments, or rather send me an email or whatever. It's just very tough for me to reply to that. The best idea for you is probably to join Patreon. It costs only a few bucks. I know it might be an expense, but you have the messaging function there, and you can also get some content every week, and that helps Tennisnerd and helps myself keep creating content, because I really enjoy doing this, but without any kind of financial reward, I cannot really do it at the extent I would like to. So any support helps. Another way to support me is to buy something from my affiliates in the description below, like Tennis Warehouse Group. You can buy racket strings. Just use my link, or sign up for Top Court, Swing Vision, whatever. I get a small commission if you do, and at no extra cost to you. So big thanks. Well, that's all about Jannik Sinner's racket. An exciting player to watch. How far can he go? Will he be a world #1? Will he win Grand Slams? Feel free to voice your opinions below. His racket is not like an outrageous pro player racket. It's something you can actually probably buy used, or you can customize the current head speed MP, add some weight in the hoop, try to bump up the swing weight a bit, and see how it plays. Generally, 340 strung swing weight is pretty high for most recreational players, but overall the frame as such is pretty forgiving and not that hard to use, even for recreational players. So you can tweak it to your specs using the same frame as Jannik uses. Well, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please click like, share, turn on notifications, subscribe, all that jazz. I will see you very soon. Have a nice day, and don't forget to play some tennis.